You didn't think you'd see a Bobby Boucher jersey today. The Water Boy Bourbon Batch Pole patch, Bourbon Bowl, Bourbon Bowl patch on right here. Love it. Okay, the Lions have a defender that's really become a star, really become a weapon for us. And I know it sounds weird to say that when you talk about a defensive player, but I'll show you why this defender is such a weapon. And also it talks this player talks about Brad Holmes, or it shows that Brad Holmes is not only a good drafter, but great in free agency as well. And the guy I'm talking about is Cam Sutton. So Cam Sutton played with Pittsburgh for 6 years. And the thing about him is he wasn't this highly regarded star player at Pittsburgh. He was very steady, very good. One of the things I love him from 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22 is he played almost every game. He missed one game through that 5-year stretch. And that's what I love about this guy. He's been so dependable for the Lions, and he's dependable now. But you look at some of his stats. I mean, the interceptions have never really been a thing. He had one, and then last year he had 3. This year with the Lions, he has 0. But he's not an overly productive guy. Tackles are never really a big thing. Sacks. No, he's had 2 career sacks. Like, obviously that's not going to be a big thing either. So why is he such a weapon for the Lions? Well, you see this and I looked back in Pittsburgh, it was the same thing. He's actually one of those guys that's so elite that he doesn't get tested. Guys that he's covering aren't even open enough for him to get challenged to get the tackles, the breakups, the interceptions. He's doing the same thing with the Lions. And this week, he's got a huge matchup with Keenan Allen. But you look at the Lions schedule, and all through the year, he's been put on the best receivers. And those receivers, I mean, you remember when Lions would play guys, and those premier receivers were constantly running free, running wild. We now have a weapon defensively where we can line him up against the best wide receiver. Jerry Jacobs has proven. I'll get back to another stat here in just a second about how Cam Sutton really was not anything like crazy, highly sought after free agent, but yet Brad Holmes gives him the money, and rightfully so. I'll get to that in just a second. But what you have is Jerry Jacobs, good enough to play that second cornerback position. I mean, there for a while, he was a good story, an undrafted guy, but now he's really turned into a number 2. And we see that when he goes out, you get a huge drop off. So we cannot afford to lose either one of those guys, Sutton or Jerry Jacobs, because then comes Will Harris, and that's trouble. So Cam Sutton is showing me that Brad Holmes not only can draft well, but can identify good quality free agents. Because remember, Brad Holmes doesn't give out a lot of money or give the big contracts in free agency, which is absolutely correct. You don't do that. But he does it with Cam Sutton and gives him, I want to say, let's look at the deal again. It was a 3-year, $33 million deal, backloaded like Brad Holmes likes to do, meaning that we'll worry about that when we get there. We can always keep kicking the can down the road because the salary cap goes up, and we'll see, right? We got you this year, next year, maybe you don't perform, we can cut you, we can do different things. So 3-year, $33 million deal is looking to be a steal because he's a premier top 5 corner in this league when you're looking for corners. Because offensively, much like offenses, defense need to scheme things up, right? Well, how nice is it when you don't have to scheme up to block, to cover the whole field? Sutton's got their main guy, Keenan Allen, this week against the Chargers. Then we can do other things defensively. Same thing offensively. You don't always have to be scheming up this perfect play when you've got St. Brown that can just get open, when you've got Jameson Williams who can take the ball and go. So Cameron Sutton has turned into a weapon for the Lions, and he doesn't get talked about. We talked about Aiden Hutchinson. We talk about the rookies on the defensive side of the ball. We talk about the other free agents like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who unfortunately went out, but we loved what he was doing. We love the rookies. We love our second-year guys, our third-year guys, and Aleem McNeil. We talk about, is Derek Barnes going to be the guy? We look all over the place, but quietly, because he's not tested, because it just doesn't come up, Cameron Sutton has been a star for us defensively, and we cannot afford to lose him. That's another thing. We cannot afford to lose those guys. I cannot stress that enough. And that's why Lions fans were so stressed out during the trade deadline, because it's like, we need a corner. I cannot watch Will Harris come into the game much longer. Like when he comes in or something, I'm just like, why is he in? And what is wrong? And what's going to happen? Because Will Harris scares me. He's just if you're new to this channel, he's a running joke on this channel just because somehow he stayed in the league, stayed on our team for 5 years now, just being like, he's not really a corner, he's not a safety, he's not nickel, he's not really he's not a starter, but he's not bad enough to get cut. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on Cameron Sutton, a guy that we love on this channel, and we started to talk about him more and more because he's not getting talked about. He is elite, and we're lucky to have him. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next one.